transforming lives. Inspiring stories from educators worldwide. Impact happening worldwide. Your transformation starts here.
Our next guest, he's the founder and the CEO of Bloomsters. He's passionate about transforming education to focus on the holistic student development. Bloomsters is a dynamic platform that empowers students by teaching them over 25 essential life skills, helping them to thrive in the 5 areas critical to navigating in today's forever changing world. With nearly 2 decades of experience in the corporate world, spanning from technology to finances, he came to recognize that academic success alone was not enough to prepare young individuals for real life challenges. So he saw the pressing need for an educational model that fosters self-awareness, confidence, and just well-rounded growth. This realization inspired him to leave the corporate sector. I left the corporate sector in 2022 to establish Bloomsters, a mission-driven platform dedicated to closing the gap in traditional education by equipping students with skills they need to succeed in school and beyond. At Bloomsters, their mission is to support parents with confidence, self-awareness, and resilience, who can navigate a world of constant change with ease. And it has been an incredible journey for him and his contribution to holistic growth and lifelong success of today's adolescents. All right, I'd like to welcome my next guest, Nitin. He's the founder and CEO of Bloomsters. And he's going to give us, kind of the background, but I'm going to find out how is he doing. And, how are things in Tampa, right? Correct?
Yes, that's correct. Hi, Tony. Thanks for having me on the show. Really excited to be here. Let's get started.
All right. So absolutely. So let's kind of jump in. I want to know, what inspired you to create Bloomsters and kind of your journey in developing this company.
Thanks for that question, Tony. I wish I could say that I just woke up and had this stroke of genius, started building the platform. A lot of apps and products are developed like that, but it didn't happen like that for me. It took me a while to get there. Had this idea about I want to do something on my own, and I want to do something in the education space specifically for kids. But then to figure out what exactly, it took me a while, almost a decade, I'd say. I started. Let me walk you through how Bloomster came into existence, why I created it, and why I'm so passionate about its mission. It started, I'll go back to my graduation. I graduated with computer science degree and started working in tech for almost 6 years, then transitioned to finance. I worked for Citi for almost 18 years and started as an analyst, as all newcomers do.
Yeah.
And then left Citi as a director, rose through the ranks. Everything was great initially. Had to roll up my sleeves. Finance was new to me. So learned a lot, working 60, 80 hours a week. I was all excited. I thought I'd made it.
Yeah.
But despite all the glamour and success of working in one of the top financial institutions in the world, a persistent void lingered for me. A feeling that perhaps there's something more to life, something more meaningful, something beyond that corporate hustle. So I embarked on a personal journey of discovery. And what I discovered inspired me to create Bloomster. And as I said, this discovery phase was quite long. Let me walk you through this discovery. So in this discovery, there were 2 big things that I identified or discovered, if you will. The first one was what was happening in the tech world, the tech advances that were happening. Not just that, but specifically the pace at which things were changing was concerning to me. Let's look at it. If you look at last 25 years or so, going back to 98 to 2000, Google came along and then gave you the entire internet in that one search box.
Right.
That's what propelled every company to be online. Every individual wanted to have online presence. So that's the kick-started everything. The amount of data we started producing after that, there's clear distinction 100 years before that or any time before that versus in the last 25 years or so. The data that we produced in 2000, these are stats readily available. You can Google them. The data that we produce in a day sorry, in a year, we are producing that in a day right now. So all that started after that. I mean, after that, obviously, dot-com boom happened, bust happened, 2003, 2004, social media came along. Then smartphone came along in 2007. This combination of smartphones and social media is what was the first thing that was concerning to me. I personally stopped using social media in 2016, just cold turkey, because I got to a point where it was distracting and taking away a lot of my time. And if you look at it, we took at least a decade to get to a point where we're starting to realize there's something wrong with this.
Yeah.
Initially, we were so mesmerized by this technology that, oh, yeah, it was so great to share our
Right. Yeah.
pictures, talk to our friends, connect with them, and all that kind of stuff. We named them social networks. Little did we know that they were making us antisocial,
Oh, right. Yeah.
unhappy, and depressed in many cases.
Yeah.
But it took us a while to get there. And now we have this whole different beast, which is AI. We don't have that luxury of time with AI now.
Yeah.
In the last 2 years, you've seen, like, since the famous platform that came along, we've seen four or maybe five different versions. They keep coming with a new version, and each capable of performing miracles. And I'm using miracles because the way it is doing stuff at the moment. I mean, we used to hang our hat on, okay, you know what? AI or machines will never be as creative as humans. But let me tell you, even today, they are way
Right.
more creative. Like,
They
they can
are.
paint better than humans. They can, like, write better than humans, and within a split seconds.
Right.
How can you beat that? So there's no comparison of anything that we cannot compare social media with AI now. It's like a paradigm shift. We're on a different planet. That is a big concern. I'm not painting a doomsday scenario. The future with AI is great. We will learn so much from AI.
Yeah.
We'll advance a lot, but it's a matter of handling it with care and caution. We need to know how to use it for human benefit. And if we don't start now, thinking about it now, I think it'll be too late from 5 years from now. Because right now, take it from me that AI is like a baby, if you compare it with humans.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
The only thing holding it is hardware. The day we have faster chips and quantum computers, all bets are off. That sci-fi future that we look at it in movies and all won't be like, a sci-fi. It will become a reality in the coming future. So with what it's capable of doing now and the way it's advancing, it's not too far-fetched to say that the world in 10, 15 years from now is going to look very different. That world will be dominated by intelligent machines, constant change, and extraordinary unpredictability. That is happening. That is going to
Yeah.
happen if you connect the dots. So with that, the individual looking to survive or thrive in that environment would need a very different skill set. So let's put a pin in there, what that skill set is, what that individual would need to do. I'll come back to this one. The second big thing that I identified was through very keenly observing my colleagues, my friends, and I did my MBA from NYU, so I was looking at my adult classmates and how they were handling themselves in various situations, specifically tough situations. I
Yeah.
also observed many of my colleagues, their friends' children, their education, their schooling, and how it was contributing to their growth and development. So with all of that observation, I saw there's a clear gap between the academic world and the professional world.
Mhm.
My job allowed me, like, as I said, I was working for Citi. It's a global firm. So I was coordinating with people from all over the world, Hong Kong, London, Singapore, and various other jurisdictions. So, and these were top professionals, like, top
Yeah.
of their
Yeah.
craft.
Right. Uh-huh.
I also coordinated with top law firms in the US, accounting firms. So these, I'm talking about people from top universities. From education perspective, they had it all. But then I saw that there was a whole social and emotional side that was missing. And I'll put myself in that bucket. And Tony, like, we all struggle and get there. We get our act together, but that process starts very late for all of us.
Yeah.
For me, I can say that that started early, like, 30s and all, when I would just, like, do a lot of research, read a lot of books. I'd be in Barnes and Noble, sitting there, going to the
Right. Research is important.
self-improvement section, getting books and all, reading those, looking at videos and all. We struggle, but we get there somehow. My point is, why do we have to start so late? In both these situations, tech and all, for that, for like that future world, I
Hmm.
want something for our kids so that they start early. I don't want this inefficient process like I went through. Maybe you also went through. A lot of your listeners might have gone
Right.
through that.
Yeah.
That's my whole mission, to help these kids start early on so that they are better prepared for that future. And that future would require that individual to learn new things continuously, adapt to change, be resilient, have a growth mindset,
Yeah.
and make conscious decisions, take risks, and learn from their failure. And do all this over and over again, because AI will continuously change the game. I know for a fact that in finance world, I can tell you that in the last 10, 15 years, 50% of the trading jobs were eliminated, were taken over by algorithms. And I'm telling you, those were just crude coding algorithms. And now we have AI. From this point on, and I'm pretty sure that trend is going on right now.
Yes.
There are big firms that are coming out. They were in the news in this week or maybe the last week, that they're laying off people. I mean, they're saying they want to be nimble, but I'm pretty sure they're figuring out that AI can do much better at figuring out or doing the analysis. I mean, it
Right.
can evaluate 1,000 different variables at the same time, look at it globally. All it needs is data. And that disruption is going to happen in every industry. I mean, you name it, fashion industry, um, supply chain industry. How can you compete with AI? It's only a matter of having the data, and the way we are the direction we are heading. Every data is coming online. I mean, social media is pumping so much of stuff. Like talking about fashion industry, I mean, you have your Facebook, everybody's posting picture. AI can figure out what the latest trend is. AI can, like, draw, and
Right.
then
Yeah.
AI can manage your supply chain. So you can imagine like every section of that supply chain going to the stores, the cloth, the stuff, eventual product getting to the stores. You can map out everything, and AI can handle all of that. So that disruption, law firms, every industry is going to be affected. So the individual, and I have a 3-year-old, when she is ready for the professional world, he would need to figure out what is working in that environment. He needs to be self-aware, first of all, like, what she really wants to do. Otherwise, the world is going to just slap around those individuals, like, in different directions. So you need to have a handle on who you are, what you truly want to do, and then, like, figure out how to survive or thrive in that kind of environment. So that became my quest. And then I did a lot of research. So even after getting to a point where I knew that, you know what, this education world, this academics, where we are just doing a huge disservice by just focusing on those grades,
Yep.
we need to complement it with something more, teaching our kids these skills early on so they are better prepared for that environment. So that's where I started, did again a lot of research. It still took me like, 3, 4 years after that. You can imagine, like, just getting
Yes.
away from that safety of that paycheck,
Oh yeah.
leaving
Yeah.
that your comfort zone. It's hard. But ultimately for me, it got down to, okay, I had to ask this question, and I won't take the credit. I saw a video where that video prompted me to ask this question. If you're on your deathbed, looking back, would you regret making that decision? Answer was so clear for me that I just, like, decided, okay, it's time that I give it my best. And that's when I quit my job, started building Bloomster. So in a nutshell, yeah, yeah. So that's
Right. Right.
that's how I came to that conclusion.
Right.
Yes.
You did an excellent job of articulating this course that of life that you took to recognize the importance of even
Yeah,
just diagnosing what's happening in our world and how to make the connection. That's powerful. So you've given us the beginning and the process you had. Can you kind of lay out some of the courses that you offer uh, that are unique to Bloomsters to help those children, those adolescents become better with their social emotional side?
absolutely. So I'll add to this, like, first of all, as I said, like, I had to do a lot of research, and there's nothing novel that I came up with. I mean, if you do research, there are various standards that are out there for social emotional learning. So I knew that these two, through my, as I mentioned, like through my career also, that social and emotional are the key pillars on which you can build your career. But then through my research, I also learned that there are few more things that needs to be incorporated. So on Bloomster, I have 5 dimensions, what I call them, developmental dimensions. So social, emotional, intellectual, mindfulness and physical. I feel like these mindfulness and physical dimensions, intellectual as well, are equally important as social and emotional. A lot of people and platforms are focused on just social and emotional. There are various standards are out there. The education world now is beginning to look in that direction where they want to implement social emotional learning in their curriculum somehow. But as I said, so we have five of these dimensions, and I identified a whole lot of skills like, self-awareness, self-confidence, emotional regulation, relationship management, conflict resolution, effective communication, leadership, resilience, mindfulness, and so on. So I identified 25 plus skills and I organized them into these five dimensions.
Mhm.
As humans, we like some sort of structure. That's
Yeah.
what is missing currently. I don't think anyone is focusing on it. Where we do all of this, I mean, you might must know this. In companies, we have this whole 360-degree reviews. We evaluate every professional and all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
parents don't have this kind of framework to notice, like, okay, what is needed for their child now and how they can improve on it on an ongoing basis. So I wanted to create a model, and this became my model after doing a lot of research, talking to PhDs and stuff like experts. So five dimensions, and I organized these 25 plus skills in these dimensions. Then the next step was to get to your question specifically about courses. It took me a while to actually understand how I can really teach these skills to these kids. We're talking about, and it's worth talking about. So I wanted to cover K through 12, but because it's a huge ask,
Right.
I had to pick whether I want to go for elementary, middle, or high. So again, I had to do a lot of research, talk to experts, but it all came down to my whole philosophy. I want to start early, right? I started, as I said, like, I had no handle on my emotions and all. And I would agree that I was messing up initially in my career. But as I said, like, after a lot of putting in a lot of effort and all, I got there. But I wanted these kids to start early. So if you know that these early adolescent years, I'm talking about 10 to 14 is what I'm focusing on.
Yes.
That's when they go through a lot of physical change as well. Not just like, transitioning from parent center world where in elementary and all, parents
Yeah.
are like, everything for them, their family and all. But now, like, when they get to like 11, 12, they start to look outside for social proof, validation and all. And they are very vulnerable at that time. So I think that is the right time. And as I said, like they're going through a lot of physical change where their prefrontal cortex, the part of their brain, which doesn't even exist before that, is beginning to develop. So if that is the case, let's plant those seeds of awareness about these skills and any tools that we can give them right at that time. Why let them like struggle first and then let them figure out on their own, where we as parents can help them through this phase. It's tough, by the way. I'd say middle school is the toughest one if you compare these three, like elementary, middle, and high.
Yes.
So that is the thing. And then about courses, like how to teach. I mean, getting attention from this age group, it's a tough ask. I mean, if you put them with a book, they'll check out within like, 2 minutes, maybe 5 minutes.
Yep. Yeah,
If you put them on a video game, on the other hand, they can play that for hours. You have to pull them like out of it. So I knew that, okay, something has to be as engaging as video game, but not exactly that because I'm here to teach these skills. So I think after a lot of discussion and all, I got to a point that storytelling in a form of a storybook can be that model. So initially I had this idea of comic books. That's what I like, dabbled with a few courses there. But soon enough, we transitioned to animation format. So right now, all our courses on Bloomster are in the animation format. It gives us this flexibility and autonomy to say more, to represent the real life situations. There is nothing on the platform that is definitional that you can Google and learn, like in a book or something. Because I strongly feel, and we try to mimic how things are happening in the real world. Tony, how would you teach your child? Let's say if you notice something on, let's say on the soccer field or football field, you would like take that situation, help your child through what happened and what you think was the right thing to do in that situation. And you'd provide some sort of rationale behind it. You know what, son? This was not right, or this thing is the right thing to do. And here's why you should do this way. So I'm trying to mimic all of that on the platform as well. So same, we try to like paint a situation in that animation in the course. and try to teach something through these, like, we call them nuggets. So we had these assessments also. I mean, we call them knowledge checks. Through those knowledge checks, we give a scenario. Okay, this is what happens. So they went through certain videos, learned some stuff, and then they're going through these questions. And through these questions, they learn why something is the right thing to do or not the right thing to do. So all of that was modeled to mimic what's happening in the real world. So that's how we structured our courses. And as I said, we have these skills on the platform. Self-awareness has a course exploring you, a journey to self-awareness. Self-confidence has a course, confident you believe in yourself. Likewise, we have like a one-to-one match for
Yeah.
each and every skill, which is focusing on teaching your child these
Good.
skills.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's
Mhm.
awesome. Being able
Mhm.
to adapt to
Mhm.
this much changing world.
Mhm.
And with the animations, you're engaging the students. That's super important
Yes.
from an educator
Yeah.
standpoint. Engagement
Right.
is king. So,
Yeah.
how in what ways does Bloomsters incorporate, collaborate with parents and educators? You kind of touched that. How are you looking to make that happen?
So first, I start by saying that I always had this idea to reach out directly to parents. So that's why Bloomster is an open platform, open for parents to sign up. Parents have full control of what their child is learning on the platform. If they feel like some course is not right for the child, they can make sure that the child doesn't have access to it. Um, in terms of collaboration, every course is divided into 4 modules. And that's the standard structure across all our courses. And at every module, we have many exercises that the child would go through. Whatever they've learned, that is the time that they can reflect on what they learned. We provide some workbooks and all where the child can engage family members, do those exercises together with the family. I'll take one specific example. In the self-awareness course, it's very important that these kids go through making so many decisions. And at that age, they don't have any yardstick, right? Of
No.
what is that criteria. They're just trying to figure out every decision is a daunting task to them. That's what
Right.
they get so flustered, so stressed out. Because even a small thing, just think about it, their brain is developing, they don't have any criteria, and every situation is just coming their way. They're trying to figure out their space in this whole
Right.
situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's worth it for them to do an inventory of their values and beliefs, their strengths and weaknesses. So we provide these workbooks so that they can do this with you as the parent. Um, so then think about it. So then you have a say. The child is collaborating with you. And then whenever they are faced with any situation, it's so much easier for them to make those decisions because now they know what is right and what's wrong based on what inventory that they did with you as a family or even themselves. So that's just one example. Then there are growth surveys that we have on the platform. At the start of any course, the child would answer a set of questions, which are psychological questions like, I would behave this way in this situation, kind of those questions. And then the parents would get to see those questions. And then obviously, as parents, we might think of it very differently than what a child thinks. It's worth knowing that gap between how a child is thinking about the same thing, how a parent does. And these are just few examples that I'm taking. One more, it's so hard to have a conversation with a tween or a 12-year-old, 13-year-old. I mean, the best I've seen is, okay, how was your day? It was good. And that kind of short answer.
That's
But
it.
yeah, we provide them, parents, with some key things about what is happening in the course. They'll get an email with some facts about what the child is learning. The idea is that would give enough to parents so that they can ask specific questions. Oh, how's this thing happening in your course? Now you're engaging the child in a very different way, where child knows that yes, my parents understand what's happening, what I'm learning on the course. And
Yeah.
then you can ask very pointed questions. Now the child will answer in a very different way. So these are some examples of how we build this gap between the parents and the child, how they can collaborate more on the platform.
Right. So that's awesome. Because
Yeah.
you are involving the parents in decision making,
Yes.
as well as embracing the platform. So, what are some success stories or some feedback you've gotten from your users to highlight the impact Bloomsters has had on their lives since we're on this particular lane of speaking with parents?
Thanks for that question. So I I'm not claiming that so I've figured everything out. I tend to speak to parents. I make it my job, so when you sign up on the platform, you will get emails from us. And there's a section in those emails which encourages you to connect with me directly. The reason is I want to hear from you where you tell me like what is working for you, what's not
Yeah,
working for you on the platform, and I'll make sure to to build something if it's not working for you.
yeah.
So in that effort, I connect with a lot of parents. And very recently, to get to your point, is I connected with a mom, and then she told me that her two kids, I think, yeah, both of them took our financial literacy course. Tony, I didn't have any idea about finance. When I started working, when you get that money, that's when you try to figure it out.
Right. Yeah.
But I wish somebody had guided me. I'd taken some finance course early on. I'd saved more. We know the power of compounding. I was started saving much earlier. But this mom told me that her kids who were 13 years old, 12, 13 year olds, they, after taking our finance literacy course, are talking about business. One of them is doing this whole dog walking business and
Okay.
talking about saving. He's already saved $4,000. Talking about an interest-bearing account. He comes to
Oh,
mom. I want to now save this money. Mom said, okay, let's get to 5,000 and we'll deposit it. Just imagine your 12-year-old coming to you and saying this thing. That's huge, and I was pretty happy to hear that. Same thing with the other child also, some business. So that was a big win for me.
oh, that's a huge win to to
Yeah.
to to make that connection and have them to be exposed very early. So, you
Yes.
know, looking ahead, what are the future plans for Bloomsters? And are there any new courses and new features in the works that you're excited about happening?
Absolutely. I'll start with the school side that I'm very excited about, and I'll come to the feature because both are very important, and that's what I'm going to focus on in this 2025. So in terms of school, as I mentioned earlier, I first wanted to go directly to parents. That's the business to consumer B2C model.
Mhm.
I wanted parents to decide whether this is the right platform and holistic education is the right thing for their child or not. I wanted to stay away from schools to begin with because there is a lot of bureaucracy and red tape stuff that happens there.
Yeah.
But in this last couple of years or so, I spoke with a lot of teachers, and I discovered that yes, schools are interested in implementing social and emotional learning, and a lot of states are giving grants as well to schools to implement social and emotional learning.
Absolutely.
Specifically, that was pushed in during the COVID time, but that died right after when we came out of COVID. Everybody is now going back to academics, academics, academics. What that did was, like at one point, yes, somebody got excited. They wanted to implement the social emotional learning, and somebody in the school was able to create some content for it, or they somehow managed to implement some sort of curriculum around social emotional learning. But in a year or 2 years, it slowly died down. And a lot of schools are struggling with that. So I think Bloomster has a place where it can be that plug and play platform. I have 1,000+ lessons already built. Schools would not have to create any content. They can just say, okay, on this date, we are starting implementing some framework. There are standards out there. Castle is one of them, social emotional platform framework. Bloomster goes beyond that. I call it SEL plus. So Bloomster will give you all the 5 components of that Castle framework, which is self-awareness, self-management, responsible decision making, relationship skills, and social awareness. Bloomster adds intellectual dimension, critical thinking, and problem solving. That's what I call SEL plus.
Yeah.
So we have all these courses built. You can start right away with those. So that's what I'm going to focus on, working with schools, trying to implement Bloomster in schools. I think Bloomster can provide a lot of values and help schools improve their academic performance because it's a proven thing. There's enough research to show that SEL, and in my case, SEL plus, certainly would help schools boost their academic performance. So that's what my focus is going to be for 2025. Talking about features that you asked, again, going back to like my conversations with the various parents. So I spoke with a mom recently where I got to learn that I mean, this is not just one unique case. A lot of parents go through these tough situations where they're going through divorce, moving cross country. There's a lot of that kind of stuff happening, and children have to bear the same impact
Right.
as the parent is going through a lot. Not discounting the parent are suffering as well, but the kids, they don't have much resources to deal with these kind of situations. So I felt like, Bloomstick can step in and help them through this. So we're building a new feature on the platform where you as a parent would be able to select, okay, life situation, the divorce in this example, or it could be moving. It could be like new sibling coming in, happy situation, because kids get like, all unsecure and all, this new kid came in and taking all the attention, like, I'm not getting. So that's another example. Or struggling with one thing or the other. We want to create some plans where there are a bunch of courses that your child can go through, and we can provide them all the tools that they need to deal with these real life situations. So that's the new feature that we're working on. Obviously, as I said, came along after like, my conversation. There's a new feature that we just launched. We are enhancing that, or working on that, which is again similar thing where parents would select a few 2 to 4 challenges that they see. It could be like my child has difficulty with following through, making plans, or makes poor decisions, stuff like this. So they'll select these few things, and then we recommend a plan based on that. And then again, the idea is to provide every tool to this age group so that they can manage real life situations in a better way. They have all the tools that they need. So that's another feature that we're working on. But likewise, my goal is to continuously improve and enhance the platform based on the feedback that I receive from parents. That's my goal, mission in life, basically. Yeah.
Absolutely. So you've been very articulate and with as expected, but you've done a very great job with explaining Bloomsters and to involve us through the process. Um, as we close this out, is there anything that you would like to say to the listeners as they're coming on?
Sure. So, Tony, you and I, as parents, and all your listeners, teachers, we're all doing our best to help our children live a happy and successful life. But life is hard, gets in the way. I know it's
Yeah.
tough. I can tell you that you're not alone. It's my mission to help you raise a self-aware, confident, and well-rounded individual. And that's my vision for Bloomster, for this company. And I'm doing everything in my power with the resources that I have to help you with that effort. I'd encourage you to go to bloomster.com, take a look at it. There are plenty of resources in the form of blogs. We have these ebooks. Ebooks is a great way to start, where you will get to engage with your child and assess basically what is that area of growth opportunity, like some area where, let's say, your child is shy, is like is doesn't have that much confidence, or is struggling with making relations or with relationship building, making friends, whatever it is. So based on that skill, we provide you some real life scenarios, and these were created by PhDs and experts. So you can walk through with your child in that scenario and then see how your child responds. That way you learn, okay, yes, this is something my child can improve on. And then you can basically sign up on the platform. That's just one example. There are blogs out there to educate on why the social emotional learning or holistic education is needed for even
Right.
for today, and certainly for that future that's coming our way. And then we give you free 30-day trial. We don't even ask for a credit card information because all platforms which give free trials, you know
Right.
that you have to put in your credit card. And
Exactly.
as soon as your trial ends, unless you cancel, they'll start charging you. We don't do that. After 30 days, you are in charge. You make the decision. In that 30 days, you can take any course on the platform, although I wouldn't recommend that. I'd highly encourage you to take one or maybe two courses. Let that sink in. Have an engaged time with your child in that 30-day period. Go through that course, immerse yourself, and like help your child get to that point. You will see the value, how it helps your child, and would give you a lot of stuff to engage with your child. I think this is needed now, will be needed in the future. So give Bloomster a chance, and we all can do it together. As they say, like it takes a village to raise a child.
Right.
And I feel that way.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining on and giving us the background and how Bloomsters can impact our children's lives and our lives as well. So thank you so much. This ends our interview, but I'm definitely excited about the future of Bloomsters.